Do you think the Bible belongs in schools?
Of course.
K through 12?
Of course. For those who are not religious, who are watching the show or listening, let me just ask a simple question. Do you think the Bible's an important book? Do you think the Bible is more important than, say, The Call of the Wild by Jack London? Do you think the Bible is more important than, say, Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger? I think we would all agree it is. It's the most important book ever composed. It is impossible to understand the Western tradition without knowing the Bible intimately. It is impossible to be an educated person without knowing the Bible intimately. That's the one book we banned from schools. That seems kind of crazy. Now, the argument is that, well, we have a secular country. The framers didn't think we had a secular country. The great men who built our country didn't think that. It was quite religious, and we have In God We Trust on our money and in our national anthem. But
which they'll take out if they could.
But, certainly, they're trying to. But they say, well, it's a secular country, and so what? So now the purpose of education is to teach kids to pursue the truth. So, but we're going to take out the very foundation of all truth. We're going to take out the Creator, the living God, who is the bedrock of all that exists, being himself. How's that going to work for you? I mean, again, for people who are not persuaded by religion, I guess I'd ask, do you think people generally were better educated in 1945, before we took the Bible out of schools, or after the 1950s or early 1960s? Is anybody really going to tell me that kids these days are better educated? I don't think so.
Well, we know the literacy rate has dropped, but what they would probably say is, well, Michael, you can't force religion on Americans, and what you're trying to do with asking for the Bibles to be back in the classrooms is force Christianity on people who don't want to be Christian, and that is not fair.
Well, I'll calm them down. I'll calm down their fears, because I'll point out I am a mackerel-snapping papist. I come from the Catholic Church, and at the time that the Bible was taken out of schools, one of the controversies was that the Bible was being taught from a Protestant perspective. So this disadvantaged Catholics as well. I think now Catholics, Jews, Muslims, really anybody would say, please, Protestant, whatever, we don't care, just get God back in the schools in any way. But I'm not suggesting that public schools need to become a rigorous catechism class. There probably ought to be a little catechism in there. And well, I guess my point is, there already is a sort of catechism. There already is a lot of religion in schools. The schools teach that a man can become a woman, to use a prominent example. That is an anthropological and ultimately religious point of view. The schools teach that if a little boy thinks that he's a girl, he ought to act like a girl. They teach, just in the other LGBT LMNOP stuff, they teach that, not that men and women are meant for each other, and that there's a purpose to sex and coupling, and you ought to, and actually, even when people get married, they ought to have children if they are able to, and they don't teach any of that. But they don't teach nothing either. They say, no, people are born a certain way. They might have an orientation. It's innate, it's immutable, and you ought to pursue those desires to the exclusion of others.
Same point then. Every time you create a vacuum, something else comes in. So if you take out the Bible, there'll be a different religion, some incarnation of another religion that will come in the same way. Every time you say live and let live, just pull everything out, something will come in, and it's most likely bad.
Something certainly is going to be taught. The question is just what?